Welcome to Jets Overtime Special presented by SiriusXM.
To any players that's here now, put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Listen, there are going to be some challenges, but with challenges gets opportunity. But here's what I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this.
That was the 22nd head coach in New York Jets franchise history. Thanks for tuning into the Jets Overtime Special presented by SiriusXM. We have a great show in store for you. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen. We'll hear from Caroline Hendershot momentarily. And let's set the stage. Aaron Glenn, Darren Mougey introduced as the new Jets head coach and the new general manager, respectively. And let's start with Glenn. He's got energy, he's got charisma, he's got familiarity. But what stands out to you the most about hiring Aaron Glenn?
Well, first of all, my seatbelt is fastened. I am ready for Aaron Glenn back home. This is a homecoming for a guy who was drafted in 1994 in the first round. He had 24 interceptions here in green and white. That's tied for fourth in franchise history. He played 15 seasons in the National Football League. Bill Parcells told him to get into scouting before he got into coaching, and he did that with the Jets in 2012 and 2013. He worked his way up as an assistant coach with the New Orleans Saints and then the Detroit Lions, and this is the place that he wanted to be. Aaron Glenn is ready for this opportunity, being the head coach of a franchise that drafted him.
And Darren Mougey is the younger of the two of them. He's 39 years old, third youngest GM in the NFL, but he has a lot of experience considering the regime change in Denver, and not just talking about general manager changes, we're talking about ownership changes.
Yeah, it's a great point. Aaron Glenn is 52 years old. Mougey is 39 years old. But over the course of his tenure with Denver, he worked his way up under different ownership regimes, under different coaching staffs. And again, he just comes from a place much like Glenn that made the postseason. The Denver Broncos did a nice job turning things around. He'll get a shot here with AG.
And these two actually do have a history together where Aaron Glenn interviewed for the Broncos head coaching job in 2022. Mougey was a part of that process, and that job ended up going to Sean Payton, who endorsed Aaron Glenn getting hired by the New York Jets this cycle. And those two, Glenn and Mougey, were introduced recently here at One Jets Drive, and let's hear the best from their press conferences.
It is one of the greatest honors and privileges of my life to be named General Manager of the New York Jets. This is a proud franchise with great tradition and incredibly passionate fans located in one of the most iconic cities in the world. I could not be more excited to take on this responsibility with AG as we work to build a championship team that will make the Jets fans proud. And there is not a better leader for this team than AG. And I want to tell a story. I got the opportunity a few years ago. We were going through a head coaching search in Denver with the Broncos, and we interviewed AG. And at the end of the interview, I'd ask the candidates, I'd say, so when we get in that first team meeting, what's that message gonna be? What's it gonna sound like? What's it gonna look like? So he pushed back, he sat up, and he delivered a powerful message. Like when he finished, we're all kind of looking around like, wow. And as we went on through the search, because he was one of the first guys we interviewed in that search, we kept going back to it like, damn, AG killed that thing. Like, that was pretty good. We hadn't seen that. Fast forward a few years later, Thursday, I'm sitting in his office and we're talking, and instantly I'm feeling that again, that passion, the passion for the game, the passion and the care for the players, the fans, his football acumen. It was instant. We got to talking about this Jets team and the vision and the franchise, and we were in lockstep right out the gate. Same vision, we were speaking the same language. So I can't wait to work this partnership and bring a Super Bowl back to the New York Jets.
Listen, I want this job. I interviewed for a number of them, but I wanted this job. When I was going to my second interview, I wanted to make sure this is going to be the second interview. It's going to be the first of the second interviews, because I didn't want to leave the building without shaking Woody's hand and make sure we had a contract. So I'm just telling you now, everything else was really out of it. It was all about the Jets, and it's been that way from the beginning. But I got the job on Wednesday. Mougey came and got the job on Saturday, and we came here on Sunday, and we started talking. Here's what I do know. Aaron Rodgers will be talked about. It will be talked about. We've already texted that communication with Aaron Rodgers. And as we continue to look at the roster, we'll make decisions accordingly. And that's with a number of people, right, on the team. I look forward to this. I look forward to it. It's going to be a great ride. It really is. There's nothing better than having your start here as a player, here as a scout, and now here as a head coach. And I'm ready for it. I appreciate it.
It's really interesting to me to hear Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey talk about each other, really, because even though they haven't worked together, you can tell that they're aligned and they're in lockstep moving forward.
Yeah, a lot of mutual respect there, and they want success in the short term, but success in the long term as well. And you have to give the Jets a lot of credit here. These were exhaustive searches, but it became clear that the right choices for this organization now and moving forward were AG and Darren Mougey.
More than 15 interviews at head coach, more than 15 at GM. They land on Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey. And coming up, Caroline Hendershot goes one-on-one with both of them.
SiriusXM NFL Radio delivers hard-hitting analysis and up-to-the-minute NFL news that true football fanatics need. Listen in your car or on the SiriusXM app. Welcome back to Jets Overtime Special presented by SiriusXM.
Okay, the Jets having traded with New Orleans with the 12th pick
wow.
in this first round, select Aaron Glenn.
The first thing I think about is my dad. It's the first thing I think about is my dad. Because he was so excited, he was so happy. And my mom was crying. Listen, she didn't know anything about New York. But she knew she didn't want her baby to be around that many people. And then I remember me and my wife looking outside because we were foreign to New York ourselves.
Beating the guy, the last defender that could have taken him to the ground, here in man coverage, steps in front.
But my dad, that's what I remember.
Here with New York's 22nd head coach in franchise history, Aaron Glenn. Coach, first of all, congratulations on such a momentous day, not only for you, but also your family. Now, I don't know if you can really put into words what this means for you, but from playing here as a first with this team, first team you scouted for, and now the first team that you will be a head coach for, as you reflect on that journey, what does this mean to you?
Listen, this is the greatest story you could ever write when it comes to my life. And you already said it, 94 being drafted here, 12th pick in the first round, coming back, I think in 2012 to be a scout, being in-house scout for 2 years. They ended up going on the road for 2 years as a college scout, and now coming back as the head coach. It's not a better feeling in the world, and you can't write a better story.
Other than your history with the organization, you expressed that you wanted to be here. Why was that? What about this team really called you home?
Listen, I know a lot of people that's here in the building, and I know what they stand for. And I felt like it was my job to come in and try to accumulate as many wins as we can and try to build a championship team. Listen, I know Woody. I know what he's about. And our conversations have been outstanding. And he is committed to winning. And we'll continue to have those conversations. And now, matching me with Mougey, I think we have a championship caliber team that's going to be able to give us a championship.
Darren Mougey, you referenced him. He referenced you too in that Denver Broncos head coach interview. What about this partnership is going to help the Jets get to that next step?
We see things exactly the same, and we have a shared vision on how we're going to do it. And listen, we're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. But the one thing that we have is respect for each other, and no matter what, when we make a decision, it's going to be both our decision. If we disagree, we're going to come out of the room, and it's going to be one decision being made. And that's the relationship that we have.
What should players and fans know about your leadership style and your expectations for this team as they kind of look ahead to this offseason?
Well, listen, to me, my definition of leadership really comes down to one word. That's influence. And I plan on influencing every man that's a part of this football team and everybody in this building, really. And I think it starts with my character. And that's something that I don't take lightly. It's my character. And also work ethic. I mean, you put those two things together, I think when people see that, it's hard not to follow. The expectations are to win, hands down. That's what we're here for, win a winning business. And I plan on bringing that to this team.
Now, last one for you. You've played with some legendary coaches. You've played under some legendary coaches. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you have learned from one of those coaches along the way that you're going to take with you into your new role as a head coach?
Just be authentic. Just be myself. Listen, players know a fake when they see one. And when you're fake to a player, you basically lost them. So they know I'm going to be myself, or my emotions on my sleeve. I'm going to tell them what it is, and we're going to go from there.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Coach. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Great stuff from Aaron Glenn. We're going to hear from Darren Mougey momentarily, but his resume is extremely impressive considering he was hired as a scouting intern by the Broncos in 2012, worked his way up in 10 years to assistant general manager, which is a position he held for 3 seasons before he was hired by the Jets as their new general manager. And let's hear from Mougey with Caroline.
Here with Darren Mougey. Now, Darren, congratulations on becoming the New York Jets general manager. What about this was the right job for you?
I'd start with, I think it's a great opportunity. I talked about the talent that's on this roster right now, and then AG is the head coach. You guys saw that and felt that passion. He can lead people. I felt really good about that. Along with Mr. Johnson and Christopher at the ownership level. We had a great connection. I felt their passion. I felt their desire and commitment to win. And there was a lot of reasons. It's a great opportunity.
You spent over 12 years with the Denver Broncos. Now, what of those experience can you take and kind of bring with you to the New York Jets?
Oh my gosh, so many, to be honest with you. I've been around a lot of great people there, a lot of great mentors. I've seen a lot too. I've been through a lot of transitions. So there's not just one that I'll bring, but many.
Was there any part of you that during this process you knew AG was the head coach and that kind of made you want to come here even more because of your history with him?
I knew he was a candidate and I was excited about that. And when they announced it, I was excited about that because I've always been a believer in AG since that day I met him at that interview. So it definitely had a huge effect.
You talked about the makeup being a very important thing as you look at this team going forward. What are some of the characteristics you look for as you're making up a team?
Yeah, we talk about it, and I want to talk details with the group here as we kind of create our own vision and language. But when we talk about the makeup, we're talking about the mental, the football character, the toughness, the grit, the attitude, all those things. But we'll have it defined as we collectively go through the process and talk about it as a group.
And last one for you. I know that Jets fans and even the players themselves are going to be excited to see your plan unfold for where this team goes as the offseason approaches. But what are your expectations for this team in the 2025 season?
I don't have any set expectations on wins or losses. I just know we're going to win and improve.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Darren.
Thank you.
Coming up, you're going to hear from Jets legend Wayne Chrebet and the voice of the Jets, Bob Wischusen, to get their thoughts on the new hires.
You are watching Jets Overtime Special, presented by SiriusXM.
I know it sounds silly, but I couldn't sleep last night.
Really?
To be honest with you, yeah, I'm so excited that, Aaron got the job. For multiple, I could talk about him as a friend, as a teammate, as so many things that we've been through together. And to start as a scout and come back here as a head coach and to know what it means to win in New York, it's just something I wanted to be a part of it. And I was looking at him today and reminiscing and brought back great memories. And just from listening to him talk and the passion, talking about his faith and his family and everything like that, I just couldn't be happier that he's the new coach of the New York Jets.
If you are Quinnen or Quincy Williams or Sauce Gardner or Garrett Wilson or one of these guys who won a lot in college, has not won in the NFL, and maybe you're a little disenchanted with everything that's happened, now listen to that press conference.
Yeah.
Listen to the message coming from that coach, because it's still human being to human being, right? It's still, right, a coach sitting across from a player and saying, this is my vision, this is what I think the culture is going to be, this is where I think we're going. I would be, if I were a player that was wondering a couple of weeks ago about what is the future, where is the ship headed, if I heard that press conference, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I can sit across from this head coach and believe that he's going to get this going in the right direction.
It doesn't take you a long time to be pulled in from Aaron Glenn.
No doubt, yeah. And so I'll be very interested to hear, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks from now, as you move through the winter, head towards the spring, all of a sudden these guys are back in the building regularly, or OTAs and whatnot, and they're around him all the time, if maybe their vision of the future and their future with the Jets might be a little different than it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago when the season ended, and maybe that disenchantment was there.
I believe that. I believe that as far as guys want to stick around. And I think a big thing for a head coach is just the way he, motivates the team. Like he talks about discipline and being accountable and stuff like that. I don't think it's been like that the last couple of years. Nothing against, coaches that were here, but, you need someone in there that is part Parcells and part Pete, he's a little bit of everybody. And I think just the fact that he's could wear so many hats, and he knows what kind of people to bring around him, knows what kind of players he wants around him, because he's been on good teams and he's been on bad teams. But yeah, he's perfect. It doesn't matter that he's a defensive coach or he's a first-time coach. Like I said, he's ready, and it's kind of hard to explain what I see in him. Like when we go again 1,000 times, we probably went against each other, and there was no freebies. There was no like, all right, I'm going to take it easy on this one and take it easy on that one. We constantly battled, and it's the same kind of thing. There's going to be no freebies. You're not going to get a penalty or do something stupid or this and that and not be held accountable. And we've been lacking that in the discipline, and I think that's something he could bring, whether he is defense or offensive coach.
You're around it every day. You lived it.
Yeah.
I'm part of it, but not as immersed as you are, obviously, as a player or as you are being here every day. It is different because there's a one of us feeling about Aaron Glenn because he's one of us, right? Like the Jets matter to him. I think it matters that, he was a legitimate candidate, if not maybe the top of the list for New Orleans, came here, wanted to talk to the Jets. This job matters. That is part of his DNA. You could sense it. He wants to be a part of that again. And that's a real thing, right? Like, I think that is going to resonate with Jet fans as well.
Coming up, let's hear what some of the national analysts think of the hires of Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey.
SiriusXM NFL Radio delivers hard-hitting analysis and up-to-the-minute NFL news that true football fanatics need. Listen in your car or on the SiriusXM app.
When you talk about a guy that's been in the building, that's bled green and white, that knows what it means to wear the Jets helmet, I think we needed that in the building to change the culture, right? He's a guy that also was an undersized corner, so he's got a scrappy mentality, and I think he'll bring that into the Jets organization.
I do think there is a certain relatability that players will have to somebody who has gone through a lot of what they have gone through, and I thought it was so fascinating to hear a little bit more about how Aaron Glenn got to where he is today, and on top of the fact that he was a player, a first-round pick, a guy who was once franchise tagged, like a successful player at that, his entry point into where he is at now is becoming a scout.
He was as thorough as any scout. He asked great questions. He was very much into it. It wasn't like a retirement job, and obviously we could see what it led to.
So I think for Mougey, there's things we just don't know because he didn't have those responsibilities in Denver. But what we do know is this is somebody that can evaluate and Aaron Glenn can lean on. Because when you're the head coach of a team, you're not doing the college scouting during the season. You need a head guy that could do that throughout the entire fall. So Mougey will be really his go-to guy. This is an Aaron Glenn-focused organization now. He's the front man, but that doesn't mean Mougey is just put to the side. His ability to evaluate will be what determines how they flip this roster around.
This feature was presented by SiriusXM.
EA seems like pretty positive reviews all around for both Glenn and Mougey.
It's a good start for both Glenn and Mougey. The bottom line is Aaron Glenn's coming in here with a lot of passion. This is the place that he wanted to be. He's going to demand accountability from his players, and he is going to concentrate on the small details. Now, what him and Mougey have to do right now, the cupboard isn't bare. That's why both of these guys are here. They're excited about what's in-house, but a lot of critical decisions ahead. That includes what's going to happen with the Jets at the quarterback position.
And the next tentpole event in which they'll be asked about it is the Combine, which takes place in a couple weeks. So make sure to stay tuned right here throughout the offseason.